In a world recovering from the pandemic and the pandemic of loneliness, a time crazed by the uncertainty of work, hybrid inhabitants, virtual economy, flux pedagogy, the great furloughs, and the great resignation. Not to mention innocent lives and loved ones lost due to the global pandemic, and the life lost to the injustice in our society. To most, a time like this resulted in what Adam Grant described as post-traumatic growth, when an individual who lived through extreme loss, quarantine, and the global pandemic discovers their inner strength. So how do one discover their inner strength? To me, it's a deep reflection of 4 key stages of our lives: our past self, our present self, our future self, and our desired future self. These 4 elements represent the continuous loop of internal motive of our existence and how we process our lived experiences. We must learn to reactivate, reconnect, and build our identity from scratch by reflecting backwards, presently, future-wise, and really redesign our desired future self, knowing exactly where we're headed. So how do we do this? How do we do this in a way that makes sense to us? The first stage requires us to reflect on our past self. Our past self is a mirror of our personal history, our childhood experiences, our past traumas, our cultural beliefs, what we are told to believe versus what we actually believe. Our own perception of our own lives, our perception of the world, and the tacit experiences that we picked up throughout our lives. And our knowledge capital. How much do we know today? What do we need to know next? And what we need to know to get there. The second stage calls for a reflection of our present self, our daily reminder of who we are today, a reflection of where we're going, our mindset, what influences our mindset, what inspires us every day to get up, what excites us, and what goals we set for ourselves. The third phase requires an even deeper reflection on our future self, what we want to be, the achievements we want, the milestones we hold dear to our heart, who we want to become, and what we hope to create for the world, and how we process all of this, and how we perceive ourselves and our own environment. The final stage, which is your desired future self, is the admission of what we really want and who we really want to be, what we want to create for the world, and what desires we truly have that we haven't quite unearthed, what you would say. And what legacy are we trying to create for ourselves, our society, and our community? But there is a small, big problem. In 2017, 2 research studies found that in America, 1/3 of Americans have a life plan. But then in 2021, September, we got this massive loss of people stepping away from their job. Close to 4.4 million people in America left their job because of the pandemic, because of the realization that this is not where they want to be. So there is this juxtaposition of, are we driving our own lives, or are we letting society determine where we want to be? I believe that certain circumstances forces us to make that call and to decide to follow on the path that we really desire. For me, it was September 18, 2016. And as I lay there in my hospital bed, admiring the allure of my newborn son, I observed my cell phone ringing. And I said to myself, who could possibly be calling me at this time? I grabbed the call, and it was my old boss. And I said hello, and his voice wasn't quite friendly. And to me, I wondered what was going on at the time. And then he said, Lilian, we're going through a restructuring, and your position and other positions are no longer required. Before he could finish his statement, I said to him, wait, I just had my son an hour ago. He blurts out the F word, not knowing that I could hear him. And perhaps he was just thinking out loud. So I said, "What happened?" And he's like, "Oh." And the call ended. And I remember speaking to a company insider. She said, the reason why they let me go was because they were afraid that I couldn't commit after becoming a mom. Shortly after, my husband walks into the room to check on his family and his son. And I remember just watching him carry my son, our child, in his arm. And I said to him, just dealing with the mixed emotion, 1 minute I'm happy because I had a baby. And the next minute I wasn't sure about what my future would be. And I said, "Babe, I just got laid off." And he turned around, and his response to me made him my best coach. And he said, "Good, now you can invest in your desire and your passion for learning and development." So, holding on to that, I went through the same 4 key elements that I mentioned earlier. I looked at my past self, which only had really this head of analytics, head of marketing for organizations. And I looked at my present self, which at the time I was teaching part-time at NYU, and I really loved teaching, but I wasn't a master of it. So I said to myself that this is a path that I wanted to be on. So I proceeded, applied to University of Pennsylvania, and I got into the graduate school. And after that, I finished my degree with 2 degrees actually, a master's in education and a doctorate in education. And my research study on pedagogical effectiveness and teaching prowess sits at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., with the rest of contribution to literature and knowledge. So to the world, I say, don't give up. Just because a door closes doesn't mean that that's the end of the game for you. In my book, Designing Your Desired Self, I share personal stories about myself and personal stories of public individuals that you and I both love and admire in our society. And I hope that the mentality that we share and the experiences that I share in this book inspires you to create your desired future self. But how do one do this in a way that makes sense for you? For Oprah, it was being obedient to the call. Your instinct is constantly telling you what to do. To me, your instinct serves as your future self, telling you, come this way, make this move, go here, move to Paris. The other thing that I thought was really important is the power of wondering. And I thought that it was interesting that I share that with Jeff Bezos, who, his mom was a teenage mom. She was pregnant when she was 15 years old. And I remember him sharing this in an interview. And the school wanted to dismiss his mom because she was a teenage mom. But his grandfather insisted that she finishes. And in her mind at that time, she said, my child is going to be great. And as you all know, Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon and Blue Origin. So again, allow yourself to wonder about who you want to become and how you want to contribute to the world. For my friend Dory Clark, top 50 thinkers in the world, learn to persevere. Perseverance to me is humility, knowing that sometimes some things take time, but you can continue on knowing that it can be possible. For the top coach in the world, Mark Thompson, it's learning to overcome obstacles because they come in all forms. And building your tolerance for it is going to help you get to your desired future self. For Yanla, it is learning to forgive ourselves, our past mistakes, roads that we didn't take, decisions that we didn't make, people that we didn't listen to. Whatever it is, learn to forgive yourself because yourself is the one that's going to bring you to your desired future self. For Sir Richard Branson, it is learning when to give up. Richard Branson was an entrepreneur at 15, and he knew at that age the most important element of this process would require him to make some decisions. He left school. He dropped out at the age of 15, but went on to develop the Virgin Group, one of the best things that's ever happened to society, because here is an icon showing us that sometimes some paths are not conventional. There's some unconventional ways to get to our future self. For Marshall Goldsmith, my grandfather, there is a power in community. For him, he started the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches, which I'm a member of. And the coaches group was designed so that we can motivate one another and be able to help one another in addressing some of the world's problems, as well as growing our network to support more people. Sometimes it takes us joining community and finding who we are, because we need the inspiration, we need the support. And if you are an introvert, you can start your own community and invite people that you find interesting and admire. For Indra Nooyi, former CEO of Pepsi-Cola, it's learning to invest in others. Designing your future self is not a solo journey about you. It's about how you contribute to the world, for that would help you design a future that really, really does apply to you. And I could really relate to this. Almost 10 years ago now, I started the Global Connection for Women Foundation. My nonprofit organization, GC4W, connects, educate, and empower women and girls globally. And I would say that my decision to start my nonprofit helped me live my true self, my desired self every day with all the different initiatives that we do with GC4W. For Elon Musk, it's about investing in the future of us, the future of our planet, and the future of our society. For Tiffany Ajayi-Ore, sometimes designing your future self means you need to get good with your money and learning the importance of savings and having good habits with money. For my friend who is a professor at Harvard, Sarah Lewis, it is going on a quest of mastery and knowing that the art of mastery is very similar to the great artists that we have in the world. And when you decide to commit to a journey, know that you must learn as much as you can. And speaking of learn, my friend Pame Bassi, who is the Chief Learning Officer for Heinz Kraft, said, learn your way through it. Life is a learning process, and it's important that we pivot at the right moments to learn what we must learn in order for us to take the next stage. So to you I say, be brave, be bold, be unafraid, and believe in your ability to create your desired self in the way that makes sense to you. Again, your desired self is a continuous loop of internal motives of our existence and how we process our lived experiences. Thank you.